Everyone, thank you for joining me today. Today I wanted to talk about the top 5 art tips that I think you can toss out into the garbage that you don't need to follow when you are creating art. I think that we've all sort of, whether we went to school or are learning on our own, picked up these rules and boxed ourselves into what we think we need to do in order to create art. And I wanted to talk about what I think are the 5 things you can toss in the garbage and you don't need to follow, and just to create art that is authentic to you and brings you joy. So let's talk about 5 rules that I think you should toss into the garbage. But before I get started, I wanted to mention 2 artists that have ignored the rules, did what they wanted, regardless of whether you think this is art or not. These individuals who called themselves artists sold their art. The first one was an artist who sold a banana duct taped to a wall. I think he had 3 of them duct taped to a wall. And he sold them with a certificate of authenticity. I do believe one student came along and took the banana off the wall and ate it. So I guess he sold 2 of those. Another artist from Italy, I believe it was, he sold an invisible statue for $18,000. There's plenty of artists, and you can call it an artist or not, it just depends on what you think, but there's plenty of people out there who are creating and selling their art and breaking all the rules. I'm not sure if those are the rules you want to break. I don't know if I could duct tape a banana to a wall and sell it for $120,000. But I think the point is let's break the rules. Let's create what we want from our hearts and from within. Have fun doing it and ignore all the naysayers and the rule followers and the people telling us we are doing it wrong. I'm here to say, let's give ourselves permission to do what we want the way we want it and explore art in our own way. With that being said, I'm going to get into the top 5 worst art tips I think that are out there and that we can all ignore as we go on our journey of creating and having fun doing it. The first art rule that I think that you can toss in the garbage and just ignore is not to trace. I believe anyone learning to create, learning to draw, learning a new art skill, tracing is fine. You can trace from a book, you can trace from a picture. There's tracing paper for a reason. And a lot of times using tracing paper or tracing over images that you found in an old book, it's a great way to practice your artwork. A lot of people have, I think there's little tracing gadgets you can get that light up and you put your image on and the tracing paper on top of it. There's also this kind of, I forget what it's called, but it's this paper that's that you can trace over and it leaves a black mark over the paper. So lots of people are out there tracing a drawing or an image and then painting it because they want to get right into the painting and they don't want to worry about the drawing. Additionally, tracing paper over an image is a great way to learn proportions and to learn how to draw. There's nothing wrong with it, so let's toss that one in the garbage. That's the first one. The second tip is that realism or drawing realistically is the only way to draw and learn how to draw. I really think you shouldn't let anyone tell you that you have to draw a certain way, including art teachers. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're an art teacher. You should be drawing for joy and just to create because it makes you happy. And if that's what you're doing, you're going to draw in your own style anyway, whether that's realism, photorealism, or whether that's abstract, or whether it's, whatever my style is, it doesn't matter. But if someone's telling you that you're doing it wrong, you're not doing it wrong. You're doing it the way that you are enjoying and you're trying to learn. So when I see people telling me that I'm doing it wrong, no, I'm not. I'm doing it my way and I'm enjoying it and it makes me happy. So if it makes me happy, then how can it be the wrong way? So my tip for people who are possibly in school or taking classes and teachers are always telling you you're doing it wrong, I think some people just like to follow the rules and like to have rules and they like to have everything in a perfect little box and it all has to be this way. But some of the most famous artists and maybe some of the artists that you enjoy the most, whether they're famous or not, are not following the rules and they are not putting themselves in a box. They're just having a great time. They're creating and drawing from what's within them. Disregard people who are telling you you are doing it wrong. Off you go. The third rule that I've heard is that using a reference photo is cheating, or somehow, like, so you have the folks that tell you you have to draw realistically, and then you have the folks that tell you you have to draw from your imagination. You shouldn't use any reference photos and you should just go for it. But that's a rule that I would toss out as well. Sometimes I use reference photos and sometimes I don't use reference photos. But I think for anyone who's learning to create art or wanting to create art just for the joy and fun of it, or even if you're going to school to become an artist, use a reference or don't use a reference, it doesn't matter. It is not cheating. It is a great way to learn. I like to use reference photos just to sort of get a pose, to see where the arm is, to see how the head is, to see where the features fall. So using a reference photo is absolutely not cheating. Go right ahead, use all the reference photos that you want, and create art from your heart. The fourth tip that I think everyone should just really understand is not true is that, people are born artists, or they're born with this, creativity within them that helps propel them forward to become an artist. I really believe anyone can draw, paint, and create if given the right environment to do so. And when I say the right environment, I mean one that allows creative freedom and the opportunity to play and have fun, the opportunity to make mistakes, and to just enjoy the process. I think a lot of the times we're either taught certain rules that make us feel bad about ourselves and our creative journey, or we've somehow picked up these rules that have made us feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. If we are all following the art rules, then it's going to be very boring and there's going to be nothing really original out there. I think that if we create art that is meaningful to us and authentic to us and what we find enjoyable, we're going to find the right audience for that art. And if we keep following the rules and keeping ourselves locked into sort of the box we put ourselves in based on what we've seen, heard, been taught, then we're not going to sort of break out and create art that is authentic to ourselves. And we're doing a disservice to ourselves and to possibly anyone who wants to look at our art, see our art, and view what we've created. The final tip that I'm going to give is that just because you didn't go to art school, or that you're starting your art journey later in life, I don't think that's a negative thing. Starting an art journey, drawing, painting, sketching, sculpting, whatever it is that you've always wanted to do, but you were too, maybe scared to do it or didn't have time to do it. If you're starting off sort of later in life, more mature, I think that you bring a wealth of life experience into what you are creating now. And so it's not a negative. And I've seen a lot of comments where people are saying like, oh, I'm older, or I'm just getting started now. Think of all the artists out there that didn't start creating until they were older. I'm going to see if I can find some online right now so I could list them off, so you know that there are people who are creating art later in life and loving it. Any age is a great age to get started. You're never too old and you're never too young to get started with the freedom and joy of creating art that means something to you. There are many artists out there that have had to unlearn what they've learned in school from an art perspective to create art that is more authentic to themselves, and art that comes from within, and art that comes from the heart. So on one hand, while learning the rules, I guess, is one way to create, for many artists, they have to unlearn the rules so that they can create art that they were meant to create, that is different from anything else that is out there. If we are all creating the same thing, then what is the point? We are all individuals, so our art is individual, and that's what makes artwork so incredibly beautiful to look at. Tells a story without telling a story, and different art speaks to different people based on our own life experiences and how we perceive and what we see when we look at the art. If we are all following the art rules, then it's going to be very boring and there's going to be nothing really original out there. I encourage everyone who's watching this video to leave a comment below and let me know what art rule you're breaking, or you want to break, or you're interested in breaking, to create art that is authentic to you. I want to thank you for watching my video, and I hope you all have a great day and happy sketching.